Hello, hello, hey kids, it's me, your grandmother. No, my name is Michael. You are here at the Compendium of Discomfort, and I want to talk about a couple of movies that I don't want to talk about so much, and I just want to throw everything together, and you will have markers in the below, and then you can just skip to the movie that you want, or you just watch everything. I will put the one that has some really nasty spoilers at the end. Everything else we can talk about a little bit spoiler free, I guess. So no worries there. Basically, I want to talk about two movies. But then there are two more that are kind of the story of one of these movies that I want to mention and talk a little bit about. But I don't really, can't really talk about them today. That needs to follow at another day. Anyway, the first one that I watched early in the morning in my local cinema is called Escape. Or in Japanese, it's Toso, by Masao Adachi. I haven't seen many of his movies, but he's quite famous for being a member of the, Japanese Red Army, and fighting somewhere. And I think he was arrested after coming back to Japan. And he is most famous for his work with Koji Wakamatsu, another very left-wing freaky guy who is one of the, I would say, most important directors in Japanese cinema. So, interesting dude. Whether or not you agree with him is a different thing, but interesting nonetheless, especially because he's like, I think 85 years old, and or soon 86, and he still makes more interesting movies and more energetic movies than many much younger people. And recently, a few years ago, he made a movie that's called Revolution Plus One, which was about the end of Shinzo Abe and the guy who caused that end. And this one is another interesting story, like based on a real story, and it's based on a man called Kirishima Satoshi, or Satoshi Kirishima. And many people in Japan, or almost everyone who lived in the last, 40 years or so, knows his face because, the police was looking for him because he was a member of the East Asian Anti-Japan Armed Front, a left-wing terrorist organization. I think they bombed some stuff, if I understood that correctly. And after doing some of these bombing activities, he was on the run, and in 2024 he got very sick, went to a hospital, and when he learned about his condition and that he only has a few more days to live, he basically told the hospital staff who he actually is, and was big news. And he was on the run for basically all his life. It started when he was like around 20, like university student or something like that age. And died as an old man. And that movie is pretty great, but it's very difficult to talk about it because it's very dense and there comes a lot together. A lot of the story, a lot of the director is in there. So it's really hard to talk about it without watching it again. I would still highly recommend it if you have any chance to watch it, because it's super interesting. It's well done. It looks better than Revolution Plus One. That was the most troublesome aspect of that one, that it just didn't look very good. This one looks pretty good. And very interesting. The main cast, the two people who play Mr. Kirishima, Rairu Sugita, who was, for example, in Dare to Stop Us 2, where he played the director of Dare to Stop Us 2, Junichi Inoue, And the other one is Kanji Furutachi. You know Kanji Furutachi if you know Japanese recent movies. He was in like a lot of really good stuff. And just to explain a little bit how this film works and how close to reality it is, there's a scene where the younger version of him walks down the street and is like, oh my god, I'm so tired. And the older version of him comes in, hey boy, take a rest, I take over. And from there on, he keeps going. And there's a lot of weird stuff happening. It's super interesting, super well done, and very good. But like I said, it's too dense, too complex, too hard to understand with just once watching without subtitles. So if you have the chance to watch it, highly recommend it. But for me to discuss that today is a bit too hard. If I have the chance to see it again, I will be happy to get back to it. Just after that, a few hours later, I watched another very boundary pushing movie. It's a classic. It's called Battle Royale, and from 2000 by Kinji Fukasaku. And if you don't know this movie, like, what? I mean, it's one of the most famous movies, I guess, in recent Japanese history. It's one of the most celebrated movies, one of the most scandalous movies, and usually universally loved. And it's very hard to watch. I mean, if you don't know the story, because the country can't handle the crazy kids anymore. They start the lottery, choosing one class that gets deported to a small island where they have to kill each other until the last one is allowed to come back. And that's what happens here with junior high school students, so like 15 years old or so. And it's very grotesque, very violent, and very hard to watch, but still entertaining and very, very great. I want to talk about Battle Royale in detail in some other form, but that needs a lot of preparation, and it will probably at least be like a 1 hour video or longer to discuss all that. I just want to say it's basically a perfect movie. Even though I remember the first time I watched it, I was a little bit, whoa, that doesn't look very expensive. And I remember I watched it with a friend who fell asleep, who was like, oh, there's nothing new in this. What's wrong with you? Oh my god. But I watched it many, many times, and now I had the chance to see it in the cinema. It is just even better and greater than at home. Like the sound blew me away. Just a fantastic movie. So if you don't know Battle Royale, watch Battle Royale, I guess. Just absolutely fantastic. And we needed to talk about these two movies as a prelude for the third movie that I watched that day in the cinema, which I was looking forward very much, and then I was slightly disappointed because like all the components sound very, very amazing, and much better than the thing that came out at the end. We're talking about Warui Natsu, A Bad Summer. This boy. It's still good. I don't want to complain too much, and I needed this prelude to explain like what level of excitement I already experienced that day, and then I get to see a good movie. And I wasn't in the mood for a good movie, so there's a very realistic chance that it's better in any other setting or with different expectations. Let's talk about why the expectations were high. So first we have the director, that's Hideo Jojo. I haven't seen that many of his movies, but those that I have seen were pretty great. That's, for example, Love Nonetheless or On the Edge of Their Seats. There was those two are really great. Then there was one more that's A Nightbird Scream that was pretty good. I was good. But yeah, so I think he's a very capable filmmaker, and even though I haven't seen his whole pink film output, but yeah, I think he's at least able to make a very, very good movie. And then we have the writer, that's Kosuke Mukai, who was like greatly announced, like, wow, these two come together to make this movie, and why should you care about him? Because he wrote, for example, Linda, Linda, Linda and A Man, which are really, really great movies, and some others that I have heard about that are supposedly very good. For example, Hardcore, I see here. And I watched Crows Explode, the sequel to Crows Zero and Crows Zero 2 by Toshiaki Toyoda, which is a different movie from the prequels. So I was a little bit disappointed there as well, but I should rewatch it because Toyoda is usually very, very great. And I think the biggest issue that movie has is that the Miike movies are so over the top, and this is much more realistic, much more grounded. Yeah, but anyway, so this Mr. Mukai has the ability to write absolutely amazing movies. So these two come together. Then we have the cast. We have Takumi Kitamura, who is most known for some maybe not that amazing movies. He has like 12 Suicidal Teens, which I haven't watched, but I don't have very high expectations for that. But then he was, for example, in Tremble All You Want, which I have heard a lot of good things. He was in the very entertaining Tokyo Revengers movies as a protagonist. He was in I Am What I Am, which is a tremendous movie. He was in Destruction Babies, which I need to rewatch, but I think that was a very, very good movie. And he was in Sabu's My Blood and Bones in the Flowing Galaxy, which is a very good movie. So he is able to be in very good movies and probably to act very well. And I think he was very well cast for this one because he looks like a very nice boy, but on the poster he already looks like a complete psychopath, and that works very well for this character. And then we have the female lead, that's Yuumi Kawai. I have talked about Yuumi Kawai here a lot, so I will not praise her even more. You know she's amazing. And then we have Marika Ito, who was in I Am What I Am as well, and in the fantastic It's a Summer film, which featured Yuumi Kawai as well, but in It's a Summer film, Miss Ito is the lead and Yuumi Kawai is more of the supporting actress. But yeah, and she was in the pretty good Oasis that I liked. So she is in good movies. Then we have Katsuya Maiguma, who was, for example, in Love and Other Cults, or in Last of the Wolves, or in Love Nonetheless. He's in very good movies. Let's see. Oh, we have Pistol Takehara, who's not that super famous, but every time he pops up, he's in really good movies. He was like in Yoko, or he was in Blue, he was in Zoki, and all good stuff. So he's in very good movies. And then we have Masataka Kubota, like 13 Assassins, First Love, Cloud, Rurouni Kenshin, A Man. You see where I'm going here. So many talented, good people come together to do this movie about a social worker who falls in love with his client. And the trailer presents it in a way that makes it look like a more entertaining, scandalous movie with a lot of nasty stuff going on. And that's good. I like that kind of stuff. So I was totally ready to watch that. And then the movie started. And I'm not sure if the people involved were all on the same page. Like, in parts, it seems like this entertaining, scandalous, a little bit dirty movie, especially when Masataka Kubota shows up, because he's the absolute highlight of this movie. A little bit like last year's Scoop, where the bad guy, I forgot his name, was seemingly the only person in the movie who knows what kind of movie he's doing. And similar here. Like, every time he shows up, the movie becomes really, really good and really, really entertaining. At least if that's the kind of stuff you want, because like the middle part, a lot of the middle part, way too much of the middle part, seems like a very normal, serious drama about a social worker who falls in love with her client. And that's not as entertaining, and it doesn't make sense to have total escalation at the end. That's completely over the top and ridiculous. And so it doesn't really add up, everything. Like, all the parts don't fit perfectly together. I think everything, like, for itself is good. Like, if we have the drama part, just what we have is maybe a bit shallow, not that deep, but it's good enough. It could be with more of that kind of stuff around it. It could be a very good drama. And if we had more of the entertainment or entertaining, over the top, crazy stuff, that would be a very entertaining movie. And here, like, it's 114 minutes long. It feels a bit longer. It's not always entertaining. It doesn't work really all that well all the time. And as I said, like, with all this talent involved, it's really weird. So I feel like there was maybe some miscommunication. I don't know, maybe they also wanted to write the drama and the director wanted to make it an entertaining, scandalous movie. I have no idea. It's a very strange, or maybe part of my lack of entertainment was that I just watched too much better movies on the same day, and therefore I was then here a little bit more critical than I would usually be. And I might give it another try someday. It's, like I said, it's a totally fine movie that's not completely focused, doesn't work 100%, but I guess if you're maybe a fan of one of the actors or two, or maybe the director or the writer, or if you're a fan of anyone involved, it's still worth a try. It's not bad, but I expected much, 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 much more. So, little bit, little bit disappointed for now. Maybe, like I said, I will maybe give it another try and then see how it works out. But what I liked much, much more was this one here. This is called片思い世界, or in the English title seems to be Unreachable. And before I start praising this movie, I just want to show you one picture that's from very, very early in the movie, and it gets better after that. But I just want to show you, so I don't need to explain. Yeah, that's all I want to say about this. It's the thing that happens, and I got this lady here. Maybe you know her. That's one of these three lead actresses, and I think these three lead actresses are basically the main selling point for this movie. But here too we have a talented director. We have Nobuhiro Doi, who for example made we made a beautiful bouquet. And he made one of these funny movies that's called Be With You. That's from 2004. And it was released on DVD in Germany. I don't know about other countries, but at that time, all this edgy, violent stuff like Battle Royale was popular, or the earlier Miike movies. But there are new Miike movies announced, so let's talk about that for a minute before tangent. So, Takashi Miike news. So we already knew that he is involved in Night of the Living Cat as a director that's an anime series, if I remember correctly. And then we had 2 more movies announced, and there's a new one already coming this year in Japan that's called Dechiage. So that's like a fabrication or something, and that's like teacher suicide movie that comes out in June already in Japan, with Ayano Go as a main character, and then we have Ko Shibasaki. So that's coming in June, and then we have this Night of the Living Cat, and then we had news that I have no idea how to pronounce her name. She's a very famous pop star. I have no idea who that is. Charlie and then XCX. I don't know. I have heard 1 or 2 of her songs, but seemingly she's a big deal last year. But I'm old and I'm in Japan, and I think in Japan she doesn't really matter. So, and I don't like pop music, so forgive me if I don't know this person. I have researched enough to know that she makes pop music. Anyway, so she's starring and producing a new Takashi Miike movie. Why not? So she seemingly started a studio that's called Studio 365 together with A24. And Takashi Miike, because why wouldn't you want to make a Takashi Miike movie if you have a little bit taste? Anyway, so that happened. And then, big news, I always check my wrestling news, and the WWE wrestler Liv Morgan, who has a much cooler name in real life, Gianna Daddio, Liv Morgan. I heard she would take a break from wrestling to make a movie, basically her movie debut. And she's in a Takashi Miike movie with Shun Oguri and Lily James, and it's Battle Lieutenant Tokyo. That's probably somehow connected to those other Battle Lieutenant movies. I don't know. What? Yeah, so great times for Takashi Miike fans. If you're not a Takashi Miike fan, you should change your mind, because Takashi Miike is fantastic. Even his new movies are fantastic, even though many people don't like them or don't watch them. And that's a big mistake. Watch Takashi Miike. Even his bad movies are not bad and still entertaining. Anyway, let's get back to Unreachable. So we had the director Nobuhiro Doi. We got on this tangent because he directed Be With You, that came out in the early 2000s, at least in Germany on DVD. So a lot of people who were into Japanese movies, who were usually into this like violent gangster stuff, suddenly watched this movie because it's a Japanese movie. It's out on DVD. Everybody watched it, as far as I know, and it's good. It's a romantic movie, and Anyway, so a good director. He made some good stuff. He made a movie called Flying Colors. I saw that on the at the Nippon Connection. Good. And then we have another famous writer here. That's Yuji Sakamoto. He wrote, for example, We Made a Beautiful Bouquet. He wrote the wonderful Tokyo Eyes. He wrote Koreeda's Monster, and most important, he wrote the absolutely fantastic Circuit Nurse. Watch Circuit Nurse. It's completely nuts and wonderful. It's on YouTube. You can find it if you just type a Circuit Nurse. It's wonderful. It's such a great 60 minutes. You will have the best time of your life. If you don't have the best time of your life, I can't help you anymore. I watched that in January and wanted to make a video about it, but I didn't, and maybe I will get back to that. I should talk more about weird movies. Anyway, the cast of this movie, Suzu Hirose, you know her from Our Little Sister. Now she's the big sister here. Wow. Or maybe Rage or Wandering the Third Murder. She did a lot of good stuff. And then with Hana Sugisaki, for example, from Ichiko, one of my favorite movies of last year, as if I remember correctly, or she was in A Blight of the Immortal, another Takashi Miike movie. Some other good stuff. I remember Peter in the Toilet, mostly for the talk event where they always talked about Lily Frankie's sexy ass. Why not? It's a cancer movie. I don't really want to watch cancer movies anymore, but yeah. Anyway, and then with Kaya Kiyohara, who was, for example, in the Josie, the Tiger and the Fish anime adaptation. Then again, we made A Beautiful Bouquet, and the Bushido, that was the Kazuya Shiraishi period piece before he made the 11 Rebels? I think 11 Rebels on Netflix. It should be. It's good. Watch it. It's nice. Anyway, she did some good stuff as well. Then with Ryusei Yokohama, for example, from Wandering. Or, he's Michihito Fuji guy. So, too bad. But he made good movies as well. Then we have who else? We have Ku Izima, for example, from Onoda, or Dare to Stop Us, #1. Or the very cool Life of Mariko in Kabukicho, and Desert of Namibia, and I Am What I Am. Tomoro Taguchi, Tetsuo the Iron Man himself. That was for me the main reason to watch that, and we will have to talk about the reasons to watch this movie. So usually I would say the cast and the director and the writer involved should be enough, but let's see. And then we have two people in the cast that have only one scene, but that made my day, because we have Aoba Kawai, the wonderful, wonderful lady from A Wheel of Fortune and Fantasy. And we have, of course, Mutsuo Yoshioka, the guy with the great voice from Chime. Anyway, so that's the cast. The cast is really good, and the director is good, and the writer is good. And I'm not sure how well this movie did in the cinema. So when I went to watch it, there were almost no people, and it was still very early in its run, and it was only like one screening a day early in the morning. Why? I don't really remember the trailer. I know that I watched the trailer, but I don't remember exactly what the trailer told me. But the problem is it can't tell you very much, because the basic premise of the movie, to know that, it would already be a massive, massive spoiler. And therefore, I think they just thought like I did, and were like, oh my god, we have all these lovable stars, we have the famous writer, we have a good director. That should be enough. Maybe, probably. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how well this did. I can't imagine it did very well. So I will do a 3-step review here. I will tell you the absolute basics that I can tell you without spoiling anything. That's not much. Then I will tell you the basic premise that might be able to sell the movie, or at least explain to you why it's interesting, and then we will go full spoilers and talk a bit about the end and stuff, because that plays into why I like the movie. So let's talk about what we can talk without spoiling. So in the beginning we have a girl and a boy in a school. He's playing piano and she's making a picture book. Yeah. And he goes out and disappears, and then there's some gathering and they take pictures of the group, and someone comes in, and that's it. And then we jump into the future, and we have Suzu Hirose's character walking through the city, being all like, "Oh, I avoid people." She seems a little bit odd, but not maybe the most sociable person around, but seems quite happy and comes home, and her sisters are doing a big birthday party for her. That's where this terrible picture comes from. And they're living together, just 3 sisters all by themselves. There are no parents, and they're just having a good time, a little bit like our little sister, without a sister joining them. And stuff happens, like one of them is in love with a guy on the bus. One of them suddenly sees the mother, and stuff is going on. It's a little bit odd, everything. And it's a very lovable, cute family drama about these 3 sisters living their life. And that's what I can tell you about the premise without spoiling anything. And that doesn't sound very exciting, I guess. So if you're not a big fan of one of these actresses, you might not watch this movie. But believe me, it's a very, very nice movie that takes a very interesting twist after about 30 minutes. Yeah, so that's what we gotta need to talk about. But yeah, if you have the chance to watch it, I would highly recommend to watch it without this knowledge. Just trust me. If you like a lovable, warm family drama, then go ahead and watch this. It's really, really nice and sweet and good, and you should watch it. Yeah. Now, spoiler level number 1. We talk about the basic premise. Spoilers now. If you don't want to know that, I will not spoil the end, but the basic premise that maybe you don't want to know. Yeah, be careful. If you trust me, watch the movie without continuing here. If you don't trust me, watch a little bit more until we get to the next spoiler level. So when they take this picture, the door opens, someone comes in, and these 3 girls get killed, and they are ghosts. And that's the big selling point for this movie, that they can't sell, because they can't just tell everyone that, hey, they are dead, because it takes like 30 minutes to reveal that, because until then they're behaving a little bit odd. The people around them behave a little bit odd, so you get enough hints to get to that conclusion by yourself. But if you are a little bit like, oh, let's just see where this goes, it's a little funny. Why isn't the bus driver opening the door for them, but for the guy with the bad hair? Well, what's going on here? Is he a sexist or what else? Or when she goes to the house in this opening scene, someone drops something and she looks at it, but she doesn't pick it up to return it. So that's something I can totally imagine people here doing, because they don't want to get involved with other people. So it's totally realistic. But it's because she can't return it. Yeah, so that's the whole point. So after a while, you get enough hints that they can't really interact with other people, and that's one of their big issues in life. So of course they try to just live a normal life. Sometimes they watch horror movies and they're like, oh my god, this poor ghost, we feel so sorry for her. We're so lucky that we have each other and we can just stay here together and be a happy family without turning into an evil monster. And yeah, that's really lovely and sweet and cute. And yeah, so that's the big selling point that you can't sell. And I think it's a pretty great idea. And that makes the movie so good. It does. One thing that I especially liked about it are some things that seem totally strange first and then get a reasonable explanation. For example, the first time someone bumps into one of them, you have this really strange falling down moment. Like she gets pushed to the ground, but it looks weird and fake. And I first thought she couldn't act falling down, so they had to somehow CGI it, and it looks super clunky. But yeah, it's made like that on purpose because they can't really interact with people, but they can be pushed away by people without them noticing. So the other people can't really hit them. There can't be any collision, so it needs to be done like that. So it makes total sense that it looks totally weird. But first I was like, is that just bad filmmaking or did I miss something? So cool, I like that. Another thing is they can touch things and they can manipulate things, and it's really strange. For example, they decide to just live their life. One of them goes to university, one works in an aquarium, one works in an office. And for example, at the office, they're like, oh my god, we have to do all this work. Here are all the folders, please work with them. And she takes the folders and starts working on the computer. And I felt a little bit weird about that. Like, why doesn't that really like influence the other people around her or the office or something? At one point they take a basketball and play all through the city. And it's weird because in other ghost movies you would see then maybe the ball fly around and people being confused. Why is there a flying ball? And that gets an explanation later and it makes sense and it's really cool. And yeah, so these are all things that I liked very much. Of course, there needs to be some drama about the guy who killed them, and that's maybe the most unrealistic thing in the story, because a guy who killed 3 little kids doesn't get out of prison after 15 to 20 years or so. No, probably no. So that's a little bit unrealistic, but maybe there's something in Japanese law that allows them to get out early. I don't know. Anyway, so that's a bit weird, but it's for the story. We don't need movies that are 100% realistic. So that really plays out nicely. It's a little bit more dramatic and all these things. So it's good. It's good. Of course, the actresses are all wonderful as usual. It's all looks nice. It's all very sweet and good. It's just a well-made drama. Let's get to the last bit of spoilers. So now we really get to the nasty details of the end. So that's something you really shouldn't listen to. Maybe just watch the movie and come back for this. But some things that I like is their issue that they can be around people and they can see things and they can see that there's trouble. For example, that there is a little child in a car and it's way too hot and it's crying and it needs help. So they can see that, but they can't interact with anyone and they can't get help. So they run around, they still try. They run around to get help, but can't. So that's a very, very dramatic moment, and that's the big setup for when their mother meets their killer. And yeah, so they're just running around this scene where the mother interacts with the killer, and let's say it doesn't play out nicely. And they try to help their mother, and they can't, and they're just forced to watch. So that's really, really great for anxiety-inducing scenes and big drama. So very, very good. And there's another element, like they have this radio that they listen to, and there's someone on the radio who's like, "Oh my God, are you ghosts? I used to be a ghost and I came back." And he's like, yeah, telling them a way to come back. And of course they get this hope that it might be possible. And what I really appreciate is it doesn't work, and they just accept that they have to stay like this for God knows how long it takes. But I mean, they're aging, so probably they will just die again and then maybe disappear. I have no idea, or just go to the next level of being ghosts. No idea, but these are elements that make this movie quite unique and interesting and very, very good. So yeah, big recommendation for Unreachable. Sadly, yeah, it's not most likely not a big hit in cinema. Yeah, if you have the chance, watch it. It's good. And I guess that's enough for today. I'm still not feeling very healthy. I just wanted to throw these things in because I will start to forget to throw them in, like the Circuit Nurse. Watch the Circuit Nurse. And yeah, thank you very much. Have a nice day. See you soon. Bye.